Chapter 8, The Guitar in America, Part 6, The Art and Times of the Guitar by Frederick V. Grunsfeld. It has been estimated by Hi-Fi Stereo Review that 40% of the recordings sold in America are in the country and western category. The best-known country and western singer, Eddie Arnold, $500,000 a year, is said to be a shoo-in for Democratic governor of Tennessee anytime he chooses to run. Defined by Robert Shelton as one of our bedrock popular forms, country and western as a musical industry has grown into a giant spreading chestnut from a few modest acorns planted in the 1920s by fiddlin' John Carson, the Carter family, and the yodelin' brakeman Jimmy Rogers, who sold so many records that he could buy himself a guitar entirely covered with mother of pearl. The high and lonesome sound of this blues-descended music, with 35 million fans, has long accounted for a major share of the mail-order guitars sold by Sears and Montgomery Ward. But the champion guitar-setting pacer of the industry was the young Elvis Presley, whose swiveling hips and flashing plectrum led the nation's great march on the electric guitar. Seen in musicological perspective, Presley represents one of the main terminal points in the blues, country, and western rockabilly line of development. The simple homespun tale of his boyhood in Tupelo, Mississippi, as told by RCA Victor Press Department, might be, like Roy Rogers, the story of any typical American hometown guitarist, except that it ends with the boy selling 30 or 40 million records. From the time he was knee-high to a hound dog, Elvis sang a lot. Around home, and at church with his parents, and at school. While still in the 5th grade at Tupelo, he won first prize in a singing contest at the Tri-State Fair. And he was still small fry when his dad bought him a $12.95 guitar, which became the boy's most prized and, as it turned out, his most fateful possession. He taught himself the basic chords on the guitar, spent hours by the radio or phonograph learning songs he liked, and soon he was lugging his guitar to school to entertain the kids during lunch hour and frequently at school assemblies. The musical wheel finally came full circle when Presley's guitar went back across the Atlantic and became the basis of the so-called Mercy beat created by the Beatles, who wedded their own British music hall tradition to the Afro-American twang of the blues. The Beatles originally came on singing like very young and energetic angels, flapping wing-shaped guitars. With the sound already remarkable for its dark timbre and strong basses, they required no less than 3 solid body electrics to make themselves heard above the surrounding percussion: lead guitar, rhythm guitar, and bass guitar. In later recordings, we got bored with 12 bars all the time, so we tried to get into something else, Paul McCartney explained. They dabbled in jangling harps and harpsichords, Indian sitars, cocks crowing, dogs barking, French horn obligatos, Baroque trumpets, random noises, and a 42-man symphony orchestra. But the whole immutable pillars of the Beatles style and of beat groups as a whole have always been guitars, even when they sounded like wobbling oboes. These Anglo-Ozark instruments, of course, were no longer guitars in the sense that Watteau or Vermeer would recognize. amoebic in shape and electronically amplified to raise their Janizary twang to the nth power. They have discarded their ancient sound chest in favor of such things as patented reverberation intensity control units, mute levers, chrome-plated tuning keys, nickel-plated silver frets, and celluloid-bound oval fingerboards. It is understandable that attempts are being made to expel these instruments from the community of true guitars, particularly since their various brand names, Panther II, Dreadnought, Marauder, Spitfire, Hurricane, etc., all suggest that they really belong in the airplane or auto racing category. Indeed, French electric guitarists have borrowed the phrase "mettre tout le sol" to pour on all the decibels from the vocabulary of Le Mans. It's new, it's big, it's loud, it's expensive, it works, proclaims a typical manufacturer in a brochure that is certain to raise the hackles of the organologist. Those who still hope to avert an irreparable schism in the ranks of the guitarists can only cite the learned Juan Bermudo's dictum, propounded in the 1550s, that as times change, music and musical instruments are bound to change with them. Yo y como la música con el tiempo se mudaré, mudarán con ella con los instrumentos. Sooner or later, however, the electrics will have to split off from the phylum and acquire a proper name of their own. Some of the latest Hawaiian-inspired designs no longer exhibit even the rudiments of an incurved waist or the feminine contours that have always been an essential prerequisite for guitars. Instead, they look rather like sewing machines on its own stand, long and horizontal, zither-like necks with 8 to 16 strings, 8 knee pedals for changing the tunings, and stereo amplification at prices between $1,000 and $2,000. One such steel guitar is described as solid, one-piece cast dural necks mounted on English sycamore bodies, finished in lustre polyester. Knuckle action roller bridge lever with pedal mechanism operated by steel rods. Pedals can be preset to raise or lower strings. Each pedal controls up to 3 strings. Generous section of foot plates in cast dural. Deluxe leatherette covered plywood case in fully plush lined and holds both the instrument and special satchel for the detachable tubular steel legs. When a guitar has to have detachable steel legs to support it, it can no longer under any circumstances be classified as one. That way, in fact, lies the piano, at the bare thought of which one feels a shudder run through one's amplifier. Surely we must look elsewhere for the apotheosis of the guitar.